I dealt with NBA Youngboy.
Yeah.
And it only lasted for 3 days. You know, he ended up telling his manager he ain't like my vibes, but I ain't like his vibes either. You know, I told him I never worked for a kid before. You know what I mean? Because I run with a gangster.
What happens when a fake gangster meets real street credentials? NBA Youngboy's own bodyguard just exposed him for being a created player, fam. This security guard called YB a kid to his face and told him he ain't bout that life. And the tea that spilled is absolutely wild, no cap. Youngboy's been fronting his whole career, acting tough online, while his own homies are terrified to even breathe wrong around him. One of his boys literally ties his shoes and holds umbrellas like he's some kind of servant gang.
I don't give a fuck if his shoe come tied, bro. Shit, I'ma tie that bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make this shit be how the fuck it's supposed to be.
But when Real recognized Real stepped in the building, things got heated quick. Stay tuned because I'm about to break down how this whole situation almost went sideways and why YB's fake persona got completely exposed by someone who's actually lived that life. Trust me, you don't want to miss how this story ends, shorty. Let me break it down for you about what really went down with NBA Youngboy and his security situation, because this story is absolutely cooked. We talking about a dude who's been putting on this whole gangster act for years, but when real street credentials walked through the door, his whole facade crumbled like a house of cards. So check this, NBA Youngboy hired this security guard named Samson Dredd, and this ain't your average bodyguard homie. This man is straight from the Virgin Islands where he was really in them streets, not just rapping about it. Dredd got shot 11 times back in the islands before he even came to America. So when I say this man has seen some real action, I mean it. He's been doing security for 13 years and worked with mad celebrities like Moneybagg Yo, Megan Thee Stallion, and Sexy Red. This dude knows the difference between real ones and fake ones, for real. Now here's where it gets spicy. When Dredd first met Youngboy, he could immediately tell something was off about his energy. Game recognized game, and Dredd wasn't recognizing no game from YB. In his own words, he said, "I didn't like his vibes either," when Youngboy's manager said YB didn't like Dredd's vibes. But here's the kicker. Dredd looked Youngboy dead in his face and told him, "I never worked for a kid before." Called him a straight up kid, no hesitation, no fear, nothing. Think about that for a second, gang. This man who's supposedly this hardcore street dude from Louisiana got called a kid by his own security guard. And what did he do? Nothing. Because deep down, YB knows he ain't really about that life like he pretends to be online. Dredd saw right through the act and wasn't having none of it. But let's talk about how Youngboy really moves when he thinks nobody's watching. This dude has serious anger management issues, and I'm not even being funny about it. His own homies are walking on eggshells around him 24/7 because they know one wrong move and they getting cut off completely. These grown men are scared to death of making him mad because they know if YB gets in his feelings, he's sending them right back to the hood where they came from, broke as hell. And yo, the level of control this dude has over his friends is actually disturbing. We got NBA Herm, one of his closest homies, literally tying Youngboy's shoes for him like he's some kind of personal servant. This grown man is on his knees tying another grown man's shoes and then holding umbrellas over his head like he's royalty or something. That ain't friendship. That's straight up weird power dynamics, lil bro. The psychological manipulation runs deeper than just the shoe tying situation though. When you really analyze what's happening, Youngboy has created this environment where his friends are completely dependent on him financially and emotionally. They can't speak up, they can't have opinions, and they definitely can't challenge him on anything. That's textbook manipulation tactics right there, not boss behavior. DJ Academics even confirmed this type of behavior when he went to Youngboy's house. He witnessed YB literally slapping his friends in front of company for acting out of place. These are supposed to be his day ones, his ride or dies, and he's putting hands on them like they're children. That's not gangster behavior. That's insecure behavior from someone who needs to feel powerful because deep down, they know they ain't really about that action. The rumors get even crazier, fam. Word on the street is that Youngboy will starve his homies if they make him mad, like he's running some kind of twisted punishment system. Lil Dump posted a picture with a bloody lip, and fans immediately started speculating that YB did that to him for not listening. Whether that's true or not, the fact that people automatically assume Youngboy would do something like that tells you everything about his reputation behind closed doors. What makes this situation even more wild is understanding Samson Dredd's background and why his opinion carries so much weight. This man didn't just grow up in some regular neighborhood. He was in the Virgin Islands, where the street politics are completely different. Island street life hits different because you can't just run to the next city when things get hot. You either handle your business or you don't survive, period. Dredd explained how there are 3 types of security guards in the industry: street guys, military guys, and off-duty cops. Each brings something different to the table, but he emphasized that street guys like himself understand the game on a level that can't be taught. When you've actually lived through shootouts, drug deals gone wrong, and real territorial disputes, you develop an instinct for reading people that's unmatched. Now back to Samson Dredd. This man has worked with real bosses and real street dudes. So when he met Youngboy, the difference was obvious. Dredd said his father was a real boss back in the islands, so he knows how authentic power moves. He said a lot of these rappers talk that stuff, but they ain't about that stuff, and he was clearly talking about YB. The contrast becomes even more apparent when you look at how Dredd described working with other artists. Take Moneybagg Yo, for example. Dredd said he was dope and a good guy who he respected and would work with again. That's how real recognizes real. When you're authentic, other authentic people gravitate toward you and want to do business with you. Even with Sexy Red, who some people might think would be difficult to work with, Dredd praised her for being humble and keeping things professional. He said she's entertaining but knows how to turn it off when the cameras aren't rolling. That's the mark of someone who's comfortable with themselves and doesn't need to perform 24/7 to feel validated. Megan Thee Stallion got similar praise from Dredd. He said she's about business. Showtime, then back to the hotel. No dragging security around for unnecessary trips, no power games, just professional work relationships. These artists understand that security is a business transaction, not an opportunity to flex on someone. The whole situation only lasted 3 days before Youngboy's team let Dredd go, claiming they didn't like his vibes. But Dredd wasn't pressed about it at all. He said he learned to only work with better clients and know what he's signing up for. That's real boss energy right there, not begging to keep a job with someone who's fake. What makes this even more telling is how Dredd handles his business now. After dealing with Youngboy, he became more selective about his clients. He realized that not every paycheck is worth the headache, especially when you're dealing with someone who's putting on an act. Real professionals know their worth and won't compromise their standards for anyone. Dredd also dropped some serious knowledge about the security industry that most people don't understand. He explained how some artists will have you working from morning until late night, calling you for gym sessions, mall trips, barbershop visits, dinner, studio time, and club appearances all in one day. Then they want to pay you like you only worked a few hours. That's exploitation, not business. He emphasized that bodyguards should be making 6 figures because they're literally putting their lives on the line. When you're responsible for someone's safety, you're taking on liability that most people can't even comprehend. But fake bosses try to play with the money while expecting top-tier protection. The bodyguard also mentioned something crucial about respect and how real street dudes move. He said in the islands, they defend the weak against the strong. They don't prey on the weak. That's a direct shot at how Youngboy treats his own people. Real gangsters don't need to bully their friends to feel powerful. They command respect through their actions and character, not through fear and intimidation. This philosophy explains why Dredd wasn't intimidated by Youngboy's act. When you've actually protected innocent people from real predators, dealing with someone who bullies their own friends isn't impressive, it's pathetic. Dredd has probably seen real killers who were more humble and respectful than YB. What's really telling is how Youngboy reacted to having someone around who wasn't intimidated by his act. When you're used to everyone being scared of you and walking on eggshells, meeting someone who sees right through your facade is uncomfortable. Dredd wasn't impressed by the money, the fame, or the tough guy persona. He'd seen real street credibility, and Youngboy wasn't it. The age factor also played a role in this dynamic. Dredd specifically mentioned never working for a kid before, and that wasn't just about Youngboy's physical age. It was about his maturity level and how he handles conflict. Real street veterans know that emotional regulation is crucial for survival. If you're constantly flying off the handle and making impulsive decisions, you won't last long in any dangerous environment. This whole situation exposes the difference between internet gangsters and real street dudes. Youngboy built his whole brand on this image of being this untouchable, dangerous person, but when real danger walked in the room, his true colors showed. He couldn't handle being around someone who had actually lived the life he only raps about. The psychological aspect of this dynamic is fascinating too. Youngboy's need to control and intimidate his friends stems from deep insecurity about his own authenticity. When you know you're not really about that life, you overcompensate by being extra aggressive with people who can't fight back. It's classic bully behavior disguised as gangster mentality. Conclusion. At the end of the day, this whole situation with Samson Dredd exposed NBA Youngboy for what he really is. A talented rapper with serious anger issues who uses fear and money to control the people around him. When real street credentials walked through the door, his fake gangster persona couldn't hold up under scrutiny. Dredd saw right through the act and wasn't afraid to call it out, which is probably why the working relationship ended so quickly. The way YB treats his friends, the power trips, the need to physically dominate people who depend on him financially, none of that screams real boss energy. That screams insecurity and fake toughness. Real gangsters don't need to prove themselves by bullying their own people or putting on performances for the internet. Samson Dredd walked away from that situation with his dignity intact, while Youngboy lost credibility with someone who actually knows what real street life looks like. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it needed to be said. NBA Youngboy might be successful in music, but when it comes to being authentic about that street life he raps about, he got exposed by someone who's actually lived it. And that's just facts. No cap. The moral of this story is simple. You can fool fans, you can fool the media, and you might even fool yourself for a while. But when real recognized real walks through the door, all that fake energy gets exposed quick. Youngboy learned that lesson the hard way, and hopefully his fans can see the difference between entertainment and authenticity. Stay woke, gang.